Mentally stuck in a relationship full of issues. Apologies for the long thread, but I need to get this off my chest. I'm currently in a 2.5-year relationship that was a nightmare as a whole. I am going to write this as unbiased as possible and include my flaws in the story as well. 1 year into my relationship, I found out my dog had cancer and her grandfather had cancer at the same time. During this time I realized I wanted to break up with her because my GF was breaking all my boundaries while I was being extremely loyal, respectful. We both had the same expectations, but she would always randomly try to get me jealous out of a place of insecurity. Long story short, this became trust issues for me and I called it off because it wasn't stopping. They were very small things, but I knew I couldn't trust this woman. The strange thing about the respect was I had very little relationship experience, as I was single for about 6 years while she came from a few long-term relationships but didn't have any time to stay single. She was also very sheltered and had strict parents while I had total freedom, to a degree. The whole time this was happening I was determined to build my own online business because me and my family grew up very less fortunate, which is another reason I needed to break up if she wasn't being truly supportive. Once I broke up, she decided after a long convincing that we should be there for each other through my dog and her grandfather's passing. I knew it was a bad idea but eventually caved and said okay. Eventually during this process I told her I would give her a chance if she works on herself for a bit while I do the same and we can come back together. 1 week after my dog's passing she interrogates me about going to my best friend's house for his B-day. Keep in mind I was inside my house working on building my business and my fitness for 2 weeks straight before I decided to finally get out and go to his birthday. She was also at her friend's house during this time and calls me angry that other girls were there, which is false. A few weeks later I realized she was lying and she was actually getting set up for a date with a guy at her friend's place. I found the texts and before that I was being gaslighted into thinking I was crazy right after being convinced to stay by side while my dog and family was passing. Eventually, I offered a friendship to her and found out she accepted my guy friend's Instagram follow, which was strange. I called it out right away and she removed him, and the guy ended up messaging her about why she removed him right after. She also was planning a boat party with her girlfriend while telling me she was done partying. Keep in mind that she doesn't really party and gives off a very traditional type of woman to everyone including me. Anyways, while we are trying friendship she manipulates it into a relationship, although I never truly offered it. I was just stupid for keeping her around. She did very sweet things for my birthday and then 2 weeks later I found her on a dating app after she kept assuring me she is working on herself. I found out she was pregnant the following day, so I stayed calm so she doesn't keep the baby. Luckily she didn't and then all was good. I told her I am done. She basically promised she doesn't care if I start dating. She will do whatever it takes to get me back, even if it takes months of work. I obviously never agreed to take her back ever and I made it perfectly clear. However, stupid me kept her around because I wasn't looking to date, but now I saw an opportunity to just keep focusing on building my mental health, physical health, and business back. Luckily I finally built that business and it was successful throughout this entire process. I ended up leaving the country for 2 months and during that time she calls me and tells me how far she has come with herself. I obviously didn't believe her, but I supported her to keep continuing. She also apologized and told me she understands why I want other women and encourages it while she continues working on herself. Eventually she calls me interrogating me and just wants honesty from me about other women during my trip. I eventually got fed up and called her bluff and asked who she was seeing. She said she only had a coffee chat with a guy which could lead to more. I encouraged her to pursue him. After I returned from my trip she would tell me how handsome and tall he was compared to me, and she eventually said she would cut him off for me, although I never told her I would take her back. Eventually she has a date with him and she claimed to just have an awkward kiss on the lip. 2 months later she tries getting me back again and I actually consider it for once. However, my trust issues made me go through her phone and then I found out her and the guy had sex. She also stopped me from dating another woman a few days later during the encounter. Although I am summing up the story, the amount of gaslighting and dishonesty were on extreme levels. She would constantly swear on her dead grandfather, my dead dog, and used God in her arguments to prove she was being honest. We are both religious. Now she has done everything in her power to keep me. She is willing to help me take care of my parents. She also makes great money. We are both able to travel and have a family, but I can't help but forever feel anger towards the treatment I got. The funny thing about all this is before she did any of these things were the few times I was vulnerable emotionally to her. I normally am not an emotional person. It hurts way more when you open up and then they hurt you. Besides the infidelity, she has been great, and the one thing I know is that I didn't give her any security in the relationship, which caused all this recklessness. I constantly feel mentally stuck, but I don't know if I should just let go and start a new life with her. We are on the verge of moving countries to a nicer, warmer climate, which is something we both enjoy. We also had so many first experiences with each other, which is something I cherish. She does go completely out her way and doesn't give up when it comes to me, and that is what makes it hard to let go. I feel so mentally weak that I didn't let go. I normally am extremely disciplined. I was a pro athlete, successful entrepreneur, and excelled at school. I am also generally confident with finding another woman, but I don't know why I am still stuck in this situation.